Those of you who watch my videos and such, yeah, my computer decided to freeze in the starting of this video previously. So, right now, you guys should know that you guys can only play one land per turn, whether or not it be a basic land or a land. This thing right here, this card, the name at the top, this is a bad example, sorry. So, let's go with the creature. So, this is the name of the card. This is the mana cost, the weird little bubbly things. Right here, it says the type of the card, whether or not it would be creature, enchantment, or such, and this is the type of the card, basically, on the other side, the hyphen thing. Basically, what kind of creature, enchantment, or whatever it is. At the bottom, this is its abilities, and at the very bottom, there's sometimes flavor text, which is whatever. No. Okay, so right here, since this is a creature card, it's unique in the way that it has an attack and defense. Left is attack, right is defense. We talked about tapping, how you can tap for cards. Currently, it is not my turn. Okay, so right now, where I'm at is, this is a graveyard on the other side of the library, of which you can't see. I'll face the computer over a little bit. So this right here is my graveyard. Whenever a card either dies, a creature dies, a card says sacrifice this creature, or so on and so forth, it becomes into its graveyard. So sometimes the graveyard will be up here, depending on what games you previously played, or what experience you have, wherever you feel it should be. So I usually keep it on the left, and up here is usually an exile pile, which is the remove from game pile, basically. Cards will either say remove this card from the game or remove target permanent from the game. I'll talk about permanents in just a second. But this is the exile pile, where it would be. This is the library. It's a library of cards, much like a library of books. So we go back over here, and I can now talk about permanents and such. So I will be referencing these throughout the game. Lands. Okay, so basically anything except for instants and sorcerers are permanent. So you guys remember the type of card thing that I was talking about earlier? Where the type of card will be, it will either say instant or sorcery, and yes, there are arcane instants. Certain things dictate that those are older instants from what I understand. But sorceries can only be played on your turn. Instants can be played as interrupts. And some older cards will say interrupt instead of instant. You just have to know that. Enchantments are special. They can be played on anything. Some enchantments will say enchant player, which you can enchant other players that are playing with you. Other enchantments will say enchant creature, or enchantment or artifact. Okay, so it is currently the end of my turn. I cannot attack, so we cannot go into main phase, or no, combat phase, but main phase 2 would happen. I skip that, and then so on. So I was beginning to talk about the main phases, or the phases, before I ended the last game, or before my computer decided to stop the camera. So I'm going to say it's my turn again, of which I'm going to untap my land. My land will not be facing towards you because it's not special. Currently I have a Grazing Gladeheart on the field. All these are in my hand. Grazing Gladeheart. Okay, so I'm going to draw. There's the beginning of your upkeep. There's the draw phase. Or no, there's the beginning of your upkeep. There's the tap phase. Then there's the draw phase. Then there's main phase 1, combat phase, main phase 2, and the end phase. You got that down? Okay. So I just drew a natural end, of which I cannot use in this video. And no, you can't. Okay. So, difference between sacrificing and discarding. Discarding is from your hand, sacrificing is from the field. So I now have 3 mana. I'm going to play my land. It's another Terramorphic Expanse. I'm going to tap it and sacrifice it, and this enters the battlefield tapped. Okay, so why I could not attack with Grazing Gladeheart last turn. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, it has something called Summoning Sickness, which basically means it cannot attack this turn. Now, some creatures are special. They have an ability on them, which you can read in the giant box below the card. But some creatures have this ability called Haste. It allows them to attack and tap the turn you lay them down. And no, you cannot tap creatures until your next turn, or attack with creatures. You can still defend with them, but you just can't attack. So I currently have 3 mana still. I'm going to not do anything because I don't have creatures. No, I'm going to use these 3 mana. And this is still main phase 1. And I'm going to enchant this creature. This is currently an enchanted with a Savage Silhouette. Grazing Gladeheart and Savage Silhouette. Which gives it 2/2 and tap 1 forest and 1 uncolored and regenerate this creature. Regenerate basically means it when it dies, you can regenerate it. It goes from your graveyard to the battlefield and removed from combat and tapped and such. So, yeah. So currently it's a 4/4. I am going to attack, which when you attack, you tap your creature. And for the sake of this argument, I'm going to use this as the defending creature. So currently it's this creature against this creature. So this is a Garruk's Pack Leader. That's a 4/4 and this is a 4/4. So when you attack or when you defend, you both use the same, you both use your attack and defense. So I could play Instance right now if I wanted to during the attack phase. You cannot play sorceries during your attack phase. So Grazing Gladeheart is currently a 4/4. Garruk's Pack Leader is a 4/4, so they would both die because that one has an attack of 4. This one has a defense of 4, which is basically its life. This one has an attack of 4, and this one has a defense of 4. So they would both die. Now, any other effect that says creature, whenever a creature dies, this happened, that would go into effect when these both die. So currently I'm attacking, so this is tapped. Okay, so talking about attacking, 2 things come up. First, you start off with 20 life. Your aim is to either mill out, which means put their library into their graveyard, mill out the other people, or get them 10 poison counters, which is by Infect, which is one of the abilities that cards can have, most seen in green and black. But the third thing is to get them down to 0 or less health. So, yeah. So I'm just going to play until I feel like I have described enough, and now it's going to be my turn again, in which I untap everything. I am not playing with other people. I might do a 2-player video of this kind of video. I got a Terramorphic Expanse, and play just continues on. Okay, goodbye.